and I can now confirm this after moving to Kennedale. After previously attending 2 other high schools, neither of them had the everlasting impression that KHS has. Thanks to Mr. Cagle. I remember the first day I was sitting at lunch with a friendly group of girls, and this random man approached my table and started questioning me how I liked it here. Little did I know, this man was the principal, Mr. Cagle. It was odd because I would see him everywhere, in the hallways, going into random classrooms, and walking around at lunch, just conversing with any unfortunate student. As time passed, I soon realized that Mr. Cagle was not just any principal, but an engaged, caring, and understanding one. And that is what I truly admire about him, Mr. Cagle's willingness to be involved in students' lives. Aside from his friendly nature, thank you, Mr. Cagle, for being so unrelenting about my application to the Air Force ROTC scholarship after you saw me do 10 pull-ups at lunch and telling almost every single teacher about my mind-blowing athletic feat. If you weren't there to push me, I wouldn't have seen the application through. But here I am, a scholarship recipient, and I thank you for that. On another note, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Cagle, for all the support you've given me. I had an extremely tough year, going through my dad's cancer diagnosis and losing him shortly after. But I had so much support here at Kennedale from the students and staff. Thank you, Mr. Cagle, for allowing me to hide in your room when I felt like the whole world was crashing down. For randomly offering to buy me lunch, even though I had to be the one to go and pick it up. For listening to me talk about my dad and getting Miss Grimes to hug me every time I cried, because for some reason, he doesn't like touch. For giving me excellent life advice, and especially when you walked me through how to write a eulogy. And lastly, for taking the time to make me laugh when I need it. 3 is really the magic number because for a year and a half I've been a student at Kennedale High School. I am glad that this is the 3rd and last high school I've attended, so I could have the opportunity to know such an outstanding, kind principal. Thank you.
It's a large font. I gotta collect myself here. Coach Jay, first of all, I'm gonna do 2 things. You are a teacher, and we've known that the whole time you've worked here. Mr. Brown, it's good to see you. We're waiting for you to come back home. Yep, this is my 10th year as principal at Kennedale High School, and my 10th year at Kennedale ISD and my 9th year as principal. This is the first time I've been selected as a top 10% award ceremony recipient. It took me 10 years, so I finally connected. But frankly, I'm glad that no one before you has selected me because I've never met a student like you. In fact, if I could go back to 2013, from the first time I walked into Kennedale ISD, and see the list of thousands of students who would walk through the halls of the schools of Kennedale, I can truly say that I'm glad it was you and no one else, because Ashlee, you're one of a kind. I've had over 1,300 graduates and over 130 top 10% students since I've been principal at this high school. And I'm glad it's you, because there's no one like you. Before you, I've never met a student who came to me after losing their #1 class ranking in their previous school in another town because their parents had to move jobs. You never complained, you never gave up, you never lied, you just kept moving forward. What I wish people knew about you is that you have one of the highest SAT scores since I've been principal at this high school. You aren't just another smart kid. You're in a league above the other smart kids. Before you, I've never met a female student who was able to do those 10 bicep pull-ups in front of students and military recruiters in the cafeteria. This is one of the first moments I noticed your greatness. Most kids, male and female, are afraid to even jump on the pull-up bar when the military recruiters bring it in. In the last 6 years, in fact, I can only remember a few female students who had enough courage to even get up on the bar. This is what makes you special. Time after time, I've watched you quiet any doubters and prove that you don't need to acknowledge people who make, time after time I've watched you quiet any doubters and prove that you don't need to acknowledge people who may underestimate you. What I wish people knew about you is that you're an accomplished swimmer, an excellent long-distance runner, and on the military physical fitness test, you maxed out on push-ups. Ladies and gentlemen, she did 50 in 2 minutes. You aren't just another good athlete. You're one of the strongest I've ever known in the top 10%. Before you, I've only met one other student who has lost a parent during high school and finished in the top 10%. The other one is actually in this room and in the class of 2023. Mazen. You stayed up late holding your father's hand in his final moments. You stayed strong for your mother. What I wish people knew is how strong you were as this tragedy ripped your life apart. You conquered obstacles and earned hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships during a time when others would have folded. You aren't just another survivor. With the 2 ROTC offers that she had and the other scholarships, you emerged from the flames of tragedy with one of the highest scholarship totals of any student I've had since I've been principal. I told you, you're one of a kind. Now I could keep going on. I've got 3 pages here, apparently. I see a page and a half, okay? I see a page and a half. But I'm not going to keep going on. But I want to have a challenge for you. I know you. We could go on about the past. You've never been that way. I've got a challenge. I promise you won't regret it. I hope by now you've learned to trust my instincts. This is a challenge for you and no one else. Coach Trent, I'm going to need your help on this. Colorado is home to 54 official peaks that are more than 14,000 feet in elevation. Coach Trentham, what do they call these? 1400s. They're called the 14ers. I have summited a few of these, and the view from the top is stunning. My challenge for you, if you get to go to Colorado, is to hike as many of these 14ers while you can, while you're there. And knowing you, you're going to be hooked after the first one, and you're going to make it a lifetime mission to hike all 54. I give this challenge to you especially for 2 reasons. The first is I know that you like this kind of thing and you're capable of doing it. But the second reason I give you this challenge is a little bit more personal. The only 14er closer to Boulder in the northern range is actually called Longs Peak. And it's the highest peak in Rocky Mountain National Parks. Most of the taller mountains, most of the 14ers are actually in central, south, and southwest Colorado in the other ranges. It's the highest point in northern Colorado, and in fact, if you were to draw a line from the summit of Longs Peak all the way to the North Pole, it's the highest elevation along that line in the central U.S. and Canada. So if you're to take my challenge, if you ever make it to the top of Longs Peak, I want you to take some of your father's ashes with you. This is, that's as good as any place on earth to spread some of his ashes. And from there, he can look down upon you while you're in Colorado, both in body and in soul. Now, I've got a PS. Page 6. Longs Peak is a Class 3 ascent. That means it's a climb, not a hike. You can't start with this mountain. You have to earn it. You're going to have to start with something easier. If you're curious, I can get you started, but what I can't do is get you to the top. You're going to have to do that on your own. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ashlee Moore, Mr. Cagle. I really guess 3 is the magic number. 3 high schools, 13 minutes, 3 pages.